Hello friends, this is Odds, and if you didn't catch it, during the recent developer livestream, they showed us this roadmap which details some of the changes that the game is going to get over the next few months. Now, I'm very happy that we're getting a bunch of changes, and I'm even happier that the developers are sharing them with us and being transparent and giving us a time frame of what to expect and when. But, but I hate to be that guy, but looking at some of these changes, some of them don't make a lot of sense. They seem a little bit out of the blue, and the lack of certain things, the absence of certain elements here is even more concerning. Let's go over it, start with the simplest ones. The simplest changes announced, I think, are the quality of life changes. They are doing, for example, improvements to the blood web. I don't know about you, but I still feel like I need a lot of time and I waste a lot of time on the blood web doing nothing. It's really, really boring. And for beginners, there's so much clutter in the blood web. There's so many things that you're going to buy and you're never going to use. So any other changes they make to make this even better are more than welcome. They're also turning the FOB slider into a feature. You will no longer need to use Shadowborn if you want to have a wider field of view. For some people that get dizzy playing in first person, this is amazing for them. For everybody else, it will be nice as well. So I think that's amazing. We then have a non-specified solution for 3-gen. Now, a few months ago, 3-genning was a really, really big issue and a hot topic in the community. There would be killers that either from the very beginning or last minute, they would defend 3-gens. And there were so many perks and little things that made this so difficult for survivors to generally get anything done. So the biggest problem is not that the killer would win, is that the killer would stall and the game would never end. So this seems like a solution that comes a bit late because they've already nerfed several of the perks that help to do this, right? And changed some of the killers that were good at doing this. I will say, if they make a solution for 3-gen that only targets killers that very, and I mean very aggressively defend 3-gens and stall the game forever, I think that will be okay. It doesn't happen very often, but every now and then you'll go against a killer that from the very beginning of the game decides to defend 3-gens and there's nothing you can do. He has a few perks or add-ons to make progress really, really slow. If that targets those people, that would be fine. What would be a way to do this? For example, when there's 1-gen left and you've kicked gens 20 or 30 times, then at that point, you can no longer, the gens no longer regress. You can still kick them with perks like pop, but they don't regress anymore passively. And that would eventually mean that a normal killer can play the game okay, but if you're trying to stall on purpose, the game will probably go in your favor. Now, there's a problem though, and this is where I'm a little bit scared. If they make this too generous or affect normal gameplay, we're gonna have a problem. If you make the last 3 gens, I don't know, let's say that you make it so that there's always 4 gens in the map. That's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be, you will actually have survivors hide and play into this so that they can do this. You will have survivors make a mistake and play very aggressively and get away with it. And you will slowly but surely push killers into, okay, I can't defend gens, obviously. I can't camp, obviously. I can't, okay, I'm just going to tunnel. You're just going to push them into one single playstyle, which is currently the most effective. And I am a little bit worried that if they do this wrong, it could be bad for the game. If they do it right, it shouldn't be a big deal. It should just target those very rare scenarios where one killer generally just wants to hold the game hostage in a few maps, right? Map design also plays a big part of this for sure. So this doesn't have to be a problem, but it could be. And then we have Mangled. Mangled, if you don't remember, is the status effect that is applied by Sloppy Butcher and a bunch of add-ons that makes healing a little bit slower. I don't think this is one of the most problematic parts of the game, but you could argue that Mangled is pretty much very ubiquitous in the game. It makes all the healing slower, and other anti-healing perks are almost a second thought and they don't really interact very well. So I could see them making Mangled maybe a little bit weaker to particularly help survivors that have to self-care or have to heal by themselves or don't have communication. I can see how Mangle maybe is a bit strong and could be nerfed slightly, I guess. I'm guessing that's what it is. They're definitely not going to make it any stronger because this is already a very, very powerful effect. But they haven't been very specific. Again, it would be a bit sad if we nerf Mangle too much because in the current meta of DBD, it's already dominated by slowdown. So it would be really, really sad if we push that into that direction even more. But I guess we got to trust them. Now, there's no other quality of life changes coming. For anyone that said, oh, rank mode, oh, this or that, we don't have anything. I think personally, the biggest thing that I miss here is no mention of solo queue improvements. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play solo queue, it is bad. It is always, always so bad. And I'm very, very disappointed that it's not part of their priorities to make the solo queue experience even better. I guess they did that HUD element thing, and that's about it. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe this is still coming, just not in the time frame that we've been given. Next up, we have perk changes. Oh boy. I made a video recently talking about what perks I thought were problematic, if you want to go check it out. And some of them are here, and this is maybe some of the reasons why. So the first perk that we see right here is Save the Best for Last. The problem with Save the Best for Last is that it's a perk that you don't necessarily use on the high tier killers. It's a perk that you use on the weaker low tier killers. So it's hard to perceive it as a really strong perk, even though it literally quite is a really strong perk. And the biggest problem with Save the Best for Last is that it really encourages killers to hit people off hook and make unhooking situations really, really unfun. At the same time, I'm not saying that it's fun for a killer when the survivors have 20 health states. I get it. But right now, with this perk especially, you are extremely encouraged to hit people off hook and power through health states. And in the end game, it can be quite unfun. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do some kind of change to make it work less in the end game, or make it work a little bit less or not at all around unhooks. And maybe you could even be stronger outside of these situations. Personally, I do see why this perk needs to change. Grim Embrace is currently a perk that's a little bit interesting, okay? When you hook every single one of the survivors, all 4 of them, which is really difficult, all of the gens get blocked for a few seconds. This is a really amazing perk in terms of concept. Hooking every survivor right now in DBD is such a bad idea. There's almost no reason for you to do that. So a perk that encourages you to do that is good, healthy gameplay. However, I'm very afraid, because what they should do with this perk is not make it too strong. They should make some kind of Grim Embrace effect base kit. They should give killers some kind of motivation to hook everyone without perks being part of it. Personally, that's how I feel. But my guess is that they're going to take this perk and they're just going to buff the numbers and just call it a day. And I think that's going to be a missed opportunity. If they make this perk maybe trigger on 3 hooks and have a smaller effect, that could be okay, I guess. If they buff it in some tasteful way, it could be fine. But yeah, this is a fine perk to change, even though I think something else has to change. Quick Gambit is one of the worst perks in the game. It encourages you to run into gens that are being done to make them be repaired faster, but that's always a bad idea. So yeah, this perk is garbage. Nobody uses it, so it's a good thing that it's being buffed. More like this, please. Then we have Shadowborn and Monitor and Abuse. These perks have to be changed because the field of view is now going to be a setting. So obviously, Monitor and Abuse is not going to change your field of view, and Shadowborn will need a completely new effect, which I hope is a good one because it's a basic perk, right, for beginners. Sloppy Butcher is the same. Since they're going to change Mangold, we saw that earlier, they're changing Mangold. Obviously, Sloppy Butcher will need to change maybe other Mangold perks as well. And later, in April and June, we are changing Ultimate Weapon and Decisive Strike. All right, not gonna lie, I'm not happy about this. Ultimate Weapon is a ridiculous perk. It is a ridiculous perk that should not exist in its current state. On the weaker killers, it's not that strong. On the stronger killers, you can put it on and make people scream. And you can tell who screams by the sound of the scream and make it easier to tunnel. It also interacts really weirdly with pig boxes and other things where if you get off, it interrupts you. It's a really powerful and unhealthy perk. And the worst part about it, in my opinion, not the worst part about it, but one of the worst parts about it is that it makes every other info perk so useless. Right now, so many people run Distortion that why would you want to run perks that could be useless when Ultimate Weapon exists? It's so prevalent that even survivors now run Calm Spirit, which is a perk that they've never used ever. And they only run it to counter this. So that's really, really sad. I don't think this perk should go this far without being touched. But whatever, I understand why it's being touched. Again, in that video about problematic perks, I talk a bit more about it. Then we have Decisive Strike. Decisive Strike is a strong anti-tunneling perk from Laurie Strode. It used to be extremely powerful in the game, and then it got reworked into being an anti-tunnel perk where it gave you 5 seconds of stun on the killer if you were grabbed after being unhooked. That was really brutal, and this perk was pretty much staple. It was like on every survivor, pretty much. but then they nerfed it, and now it only stuns the killer for 3 seconds. Keep in mind, you need 1 second to start running after the animation, so it really, realistically, it only stuns the killer for 2 seconds. Some people look at this perk, and they think that it should be buffed back to 5 seconds. And again, it's the same issue as Grim Embrace. Survivors should have some kind of system to make tunneling less of an issue that's not related to perks, or ideally related to perks that are free and easy to unlock. It is preposterous, in my opinion, that if you don't want to get tunnel, you need to buy and spend $5 on Laurie Halloween DLC. I do not want Decisive Strike to be a strong anti-tunneling perk again. If we are going to have a strong anti-tunneling perk, make it a common perk. Make it, this is not happening. Make it Premonition. Make it maybe a perk from Dwight, whatever. Make it a perk that every survivor can have, rather than one that only people that spend money. I think that is really, really unfortunate. But yeah, some good changes over here, but very, very concerning lack of certain things. Let's see the perks that they didn't mention. For the people on Buckle Up is one of the most insane combinations that we've had in this game ever. It's a perk combo that allows you to pick someone else from the ground. You have endurance and they have endurance for 10 seconds. I don't know why in the world they made this combo work, but they did, and it's not mentioned. So for all we know, we might have this combination of perks for the next 6 or 7 months, at least, maybe more. So that was a bit strange. Top tier perks on either side, not mentioned. Adrenaline, Pain Rest, Pop, Corrupt, the top 5 or 6 perks on each side, not mentioned at all. So if anyone expected this to be a meta shakeup, that's not what they're going for. It's also really sad to see that the bottom tier perks are barely getting a mention, other than Quick Gambit, which I did mention was a horrible perk. Many, and I mean many perks on both sides, about 20 perks on each side that are straight up garbage, not getting any change that we know of. And perhaps the most disappointing, no mention of common perk reworks. If you guys remember, we made another video talking about it. Stranger Things is leaving the main perk pool. The characters now are getting their own perks back as teachable. That means that if you're a new player, you no longer have Jolt/Search as a killer. You don't have Mindbreaker/Fearmonger. You don't have that. You don't have Inner Healing from Nancy. Now it's gone. So we are not getting any changes whatsoever to make up for this. If you're a new killer and you're starting to play Trapper, you have no gen slowdown. If you're a new survivor, you have 0 anti-tunneling. You have 0 anti-camping perks. You don't have any really nice healing perks like you did before. So you are losing a lot if you're a new player, and you're getting nothing in return. Unless you want to buy characters. So again, that is a little bit sad that we're not seeing any of that. But moving on, now we talk about the killers. Let's begin on the left. These all make sense. First is the Onryo, Sadako. Now, before her rework recently, somehow, I don't know why, but, well, I have some ideas, but I don't fully understand why, but Sadako had a very high kill rate. She was a very deadly killer. But they reworked her, and they made her so much better. They made her so much stronger. In the ways that were fun, she's not stronger. But in the ways that are unfun, she's way, way stronger. I do think this will be a nerf. I cannot imagine that this killer right now has a good kill rate according to the developers. Even though her chase power is worse than before, her pressure, the extremely easy to use Condemn playstyle, the fact that she has mobility and a bit of stealth, which against beginners is a huge, huge deal. I think this killer right now has to be in the 129 kill rate. It probably kills more survivors than she actually gets. I cannot imagine how strong she is right now. So I am nearly certain that this is going to be a correction patch. They're gonna take her teleport and they're gonna make it 20 seconds or 25. They're gonna do something. I don't know what, but they're gonna do something to bring her kill rate down. Almost sure of it. Now, finally, oh my god, it's been years, the Blight add-ons. The Blight is currently the second best killer in the game, in some ways, the best killer in the game, and most of it comes from having add-ons that are absolutely nutty. He already has a power that is better than almost anything else in the game, but the add-ons increase its power very exponentially, and in real ridiculous ways. He has brown add-ons that are garbage, a few yellow add-ons that are really good. Then the greens and purples and Nevers, they're all disgusting. There's so many S tier add-ons in this kit. It is absolutely preposterous. He's one of the few killers that even in competitive settings is expected to kill all the survivors consistently with several gens left to go. That is against good coordinated survivors. It's insane. So the fact that they changed these add-ons is a good thing. I also would change his base kit, but, you know, I'll take a change in add-ons. Now, Hillbilly is the opposite. He used to be the second best killer, but now he's really, really bad. They changed him. They added an overheat. They revamped all of his add-ons, even though there were only a couple that were problematic, and he has been on the decline ever since. They even tried to nerf another add-on, and people didn't like it. I'm guessing this will be a turn. I'm guessing his kill rates aren't super high, so maybe they're gonna tweak some of his add-ons, make his, I don't know, some of his base kit numbers a little bit better. I'm all for it. If that's what we're getting, that would be awesome. If he is a bit less add-on dependent now, right now there's 2 or 3 add-ons that enable good playstyles that people find fun, and everything else is extremely, extremely underused. So if they do make a smart change about Billy, that would be extremely welcome. Next up, this list here is really, really hard to understand. Among this list, we have some of the most balanced, well-loved killers in the game. So I don't know exactly what they're going to tweak. It could be something big. It could be something small. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be worried. The Hag. Okay, the Hag, I think she has decent kill rate at high MMR, so the people that are good at her do well, and not so high at low MMR. They have changed some of her add-ons here and there. Just judging from the changes, the little buffs they gave her, I'm guessing they want to make her stronger. Maybe they'll make her 115 like they did with Trickster. I don't know. I personally wouldn't mess with Hag too much. She is one of the few killers that is niche, but the people that play her actually like her and for the most part are happy. And she has decent counterplay, and the changes they've made, I don't think they need to tweak her too much, is my point. It will be a shame if they try to make her into something that she's not meant to be and make a lot of people unhappy. As for the pig, I did make a video some time ago predicting that she would be nerfed. I know it sounds crazy because the pig has a reputation for being rather weak, but I believe it to this day that she is going to get nerfed. I would not be surprised if I end up being right and she does get a nerf to her add-ons that increase the head pop and the delay. Everything else about her isn't very good at all, isn't all that big of a deal. It would be amazing if they buff her chase power, maybe up her numbers for her dash a little bit to make her power a bit more of a threat. And then if they nerf her slowdown or her head pop kill ability with power, that would be amazing. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Huntress, I think outside of a couple add-ons being a little bit weird and a little bit too strong for the rarity and so on, and, you know, her ability to camp basement and so on, other than those very minor gripes, she is an extremely popular, well-beloved killer that despite being rage, survivors don't hate to go against. So I don't understand why she's getting changed over the other killers, but it's fine. I guess they could do some tweaks. Demogorgon is another killer that is quite in the middle of strength. I don't think he should be one of the killers you should prioritize on changing, but he does have very weird add-ons about his teleport that no one really uses. Everyone uses the same 1 or 2 add-ons about his shred, which is the really important part of his power. So if they change that would be fine. Clown. All right, we all know that Clown is not the best killer in the game, but he's actually fairly okay in most ways. I'm a bit surprised as well to see him here. If they make the yellow bottles a little bit easier to use for beginners, maybe remove that silly instant add-on already. Come on, they've tried to nerf that add-on 3 times, and I bet they'll nerf it again or change it again. That'll be fine, I guess. Again, not a killer I would not my go-to killer for changes, but whatever. And then there's Doctor. Doctor is just a very complex killer. He has a lot of little points where he could be improved. Now that they've changed MFT to not give a speed boost easily anymore, I think this killer already goes up. Again, I wouldn't super change it. He's a killer that's it's in a pretty good spot. The people that like him really like him. But if they made some add-ons simpler or something, I wouldn't complain. A bit strange, but whatever. I can't think of anything This is a fairly popular killer as well, by the way. I can't think of anything that makes me think, oh yeah, Doctor needs to change here right now compared to other killers that are much, much worse. And then we have the twins. Okay, the twins obviously is a very problematic killer. They are extremely sluggish. They have tons of bugs and problems with their power. Just playing them normally feels like you're being punished because the transitions on the cooldowns are so punishing that people prefer to leave swabbers on the ground instead of picking them up. So they're very problematic in a bunch of ways, even though they're fairly strong. And it is a little bit sad that we're going to get changes for them starting April or June. But hey, whatever. Or whatever we can get. Hopefully it's not a change that makes twin mains unhappy. Now, these are the killers that I am shocked we don't see any changes mentioned. Myers is a really weak killer that has 1 or 2 busted add-ons and several useless add-ons, and he's not getting mentioned at all. Why? Freddy is also really, really weak, has 1 or 2 add-ons that are usable. The rest of add-ons are awful, and I mean really, really awful. He has a crazy performance change depending on the level. This killer needs a bit of a redesign. And the thing is, Myers and Freddy have been confirmed by the developers that they're going to be looked at. So the fact that we don't see them on the list means that maybe they're going to be looked at next year or the second half of 2024. Not giving me a lot of good vibes, but whatever. It could be a long time until we see them change. Pyramid Head and Nemesis, two killers that, despite being fairly strong, have absolutely horrific add-ons. I have no idea why they're changing some of the killers that we saw. Why are they changing Demo, Clown, Huntress, Pig, Hag, when Pyramid Head and Nemesis exist? They have such garbage add-ons. Some of them literally do nothing. Not a priority, apparently. Not on the list. And then we have the Knight, which is perhaps my biggest surprise for quality of life. The other killers, with some add-on changes, I think they'll be okay. Or at least they would be okayer. But Knight right now has so many bug quality of life issues and depends so much on one brown add-on. It's absolutely insane to me that he's not at the top of the list of killers that need tweaks. But yeah, that's what we're gonna get. How are you guys feeling about this? I personally, I can see 2 timelines. I can see 2 timelines going forward. And in one of them, everything is fine. Mangle gets a slight readjustment. 3gen gets a slight readjustment. Onryo gets a little change to make her a bit less oppressive, a little bit harder to play, but also more chase-oriented. Billy gets what he deserves. Blight gets a tasteful add-on reduction that makes Blight players still strong, but not depressed. That would be ideal, right? But in the other timeline, everything gets messed up. Mangold is completely useless, so now survivors have to see 4 slowdown perks every single game. The 3gen problem makes it so that killers can never hold a 3gen in the endgame, even when playing fair, even when survivors make mistakes, so they will just focus on tunneling even more than before. Maybe they nerf Billy again, and the community is an uproar. Maybe they change things on Hunters and Doctor and Hag killers that are pretty well liked, especially by the people that play them, and no one's happy. Dude, so yeah, I'm a little bit worried, but hey, this is only happening in a few months, so I guess we'll wait and see. See you in the next one. Phew.